The second topic here, which we have created individually tons of content around, are the two most underrated influencers of the weight journey, and that is sleep and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Jen, talk to me about sleep.
Well, I think, as you and I have talked before, I'm a champion sleeper. Love it.
All-time best.
Big fan. I do track my sleep, so I have...
I don't know why. It's always near 100.
I know. I have an Oura Ring, and then I recently got a Whoop, so I really like both of those. And they match really consistently for me, which is good. But
so better than 90 every night.
Yeah,
I've gotten 0 90 scores.
I'm sorry. But people really underestimate the effect of sleep on weight loss. And, as you've mentioned, we've done content on this before, but recovery, I used to look at recovery as like, oh, you're just taking a day off from the gym. You're resting your muscles. You're doing some active things like walking, and that's considered quote unquote recovery. But really, the main component of recovery is sleep, and
no question,
allowing your body to have that rest period to regenerate. And there's a couple things that really, from a weight loss perspective, when it comes to sleep, can negatively impact that. And one of them is eating too close to bedtime.
Yep.
I really try to, my husband and I eat fairly early for supper. We're usually done by 6:30, but then the food gets cut off. And if I do happen to be, like, let's say we go out to dinner on date night, we eat a little later than usual, my sleep scores will be different. And it affects my resting heart rate, and it affects my heart rate variability on my tracker. So, those type of things. And then obviously if you don't get enough sleep, you're in this chronic state of fatigue. How many times do we meet with members who are sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night and they think that's enough?
It's actually rare to find someone who's like, oh yeah, no doc, of all the things I want to work on, I got sleep covered.
Yeah.
That's
they don't.
I don't know that I've ever had that told to me.
Yeah.
Maybe I have 1 or 2 times.
Yeah. And we see it in their blood work. So a lot of times we'll detect underlying insulin resistance. We'll see elevated insulin levels, elevated hemoglobin A1Cs, triglycerides, all the things that point us to their body is in this like constant stress level, stress response. And it's really hard to mobilize fat and lose weight when you don't get enough sleep.
No, some science recently, and I'll try to link to this study in the show notes, but there was, I don't know, it's probably 10 years now, there was a study that came out where they looked at first-year surgical interns. So these are pretty healthy 20-somethings who go into their surgical intern year, which is the first year of residency, and when they're on the surgical ward for a 30-day rotation, they did their blood work before and after the 30 days, and it was stunning what they found, that just 30 days of sleep deprivation, these are documented, for those that are just listening and not watching, I'm air quoting, documented 80-hour work limits. I mean, anybody who's been through a surgical residency will tell you, I mean, they may only report 80 hours, but let's be clear. Yeah. It was 100 plus. That's a boatload of work. And not a lot of sleep. High stress, no sleep, no recovery. The amount of those young men and women who became documentably, verifiably insulin resistant was unbelievable.
Wow.
So that's just 30 days. When we start talking about decades of high output, high stress, very under-recovered over time, and within 30 days you're already insulin resistant, the connection between sleep deprivation and metabolic disease is clear. We do talk a lot about sleep. We've just finished a series about, how to move, how to recover, and how to feed your body, that all meaningful progress in one's health journey typically falls in one of those 3 buckets. So don't sleep on sleep for a number of reasons, but the weight journey, it's probably not enough to unlock you if there are other things.
It's an important
but
variable.
it is a big red X on the map that says dig here if you struggle with the weight journey.
Yeah.
The second is alcohol. I have created so much content around this, and it's a deep conviction for me because I think it is underestimated in some ways. It is paid attention to in other ways, but as I dig into that, it's for the wrong reasons. It tends to be purely, oh yeah, no, I get it, doc, empty calories. Yeah. No, again, calories, they matter, but that's not the big reason. The big reason is that alcohol is a toxin. Alcohol gets processed by the liver, and the liver is your metabolic fat, sugar engine. I mean, it is constantly making sugar, processing triglycerides, processing, dumping, recycling cholesterol. It is the epicenter of the kind of the metabolic engine. And when alcohol's on board, all of that shuts down. And it diverts all of its machinery to prioritize eliminating the toxin through the liver. And it leaves your lipid profile and sugar metabolism to just kind of go, whew.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And so, and it takes hours and hours and hours and hours to process an ounce of alcohol. And so if you're doing that and not eating, anyway, it's in the background. If you struggle with weight or you have an objective to improve or optimize your weight journey and you consume any alcohol other than a couple of drinks a year, I mean, if you're not that person, you're either, I don't drink or I rarely drink. Okay, maybe this conversation isn't for you. You can check that box. But if weekly you're consuming some amount of alcohol, it deserves being audited. And we talk about audit your alcohol intake. It's a major player.
I think the other big thing with alcohol is the delivery system. If I partake in alcohol, I am that person that doesn't drink that often, but it's usually in something sweet.
Yes.
Something sugary. There are obviously lower calorie options, but you go out to a Mexican restaurant and have a margarita. That's not.
You don't like margaritas, though.
No, I hate them. And a lot of times we're drinking them close to bedtime, so that impacts your sleep. So it's all connected.
It definitely impacts, and it's seductive in the sense that it helps you relax, and it feels very clear that you're more prepared for sleep, which debatably you are. The problem is falling asleep and staying asleep are different physiology, and it may help land the plane and prep for sleep. But 1, 2, 3 hours after you fall asleep, it is devastating to your deep sleep.
Yeah.
I know for me personally, when I have any alcohol within 2 hours of going to bed, my heart rate variability is like nothing.
Yeah.
Like it flatlines. My deep sleep, I have some nights where I'll get in the single digit of minutes in an hour, and in an 8-9 hour.
And how do you feel the next day?
I will tell you transparently, when it happens from time to time, I'm able to rally and I'm not super impacted, but I also am very aware of it, which then, because I'm looking at real-time data, I also change behaviors and I don't do it again.
Right.
I think where this gets interesting and is underestimated is when you don't have eyes on it, you don't get any feedback. And if you don't get the feedback, you just experience what you experience, and it could be a big blind spot. Which is why we love this kind of dating and reporting. It's a built-in accountability for behavior change.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. When I eat, I can change the way I eat and I sleep better. And you do that without very little energy because you're getting a score.
Yeah.
And you want to do better. So alcohol, definitely because of its effect at the level of the liver. Alcohol, definitely because it tends to live with sugary mixers. And to a lesser degree, it lessens your inhibition, and you're more likely to keep munching on chips and other things because your defense mechanisms are down just a little bit. And then it really impacts deep sleep.
Yeah.
Almost makes it impossible to get.